Hello there. This is a speaking class, so I'm going to keep my notebook handy. I'm going to give you a topic and listen to you speak, give me a short presentation, and then talk about it afterwards. So at short notice, here we go, speaking practice. Who's here to join me today? I'm going to just get the topics up, but you can bring your own topics. But I will give you a topic and we will take turns, just a minute, speaking about them. So, here we go. Come and join me and we'll play just a minute speaking practice. Hello there. Have I lost you all? Hello. Hi there. Welcome back. Dia? Hello there. You're becoming quite regular now. That's great.
Hi.
I remember you're from Egypt.
Yes.
And I think you told me that you live in a city quite far from Cairo. Are you? How far from Cairo are you?
It's like 2 hours far.
2 hours away
Yeah.
by car.
Yes.
Well,
Maximum 3 hours.
let me ask you something about you. So, can you tell me what you do, what you're doing at the moment, and something about your life now?
Okay, I'm 23 years old. I graduated from college. I studied English literature in college. But I am unemployed now. I'm still working or looking for a job.
Well, I always like to speak to people who've studied English literature. I wish I had more time to read more English literature. Can you tell me what you like in English literature and what you've studied?
I studied most of plays, Shakespeare plays, Christopher Marlowe, some poetry, novels. Uh, they are pretty good, like English literature.
Well, it's interesting that you've studied Marlowe because Marlowe is one of the people who came from my city. It's a small city, but quite an important city,
He died
Canterbury.
young. He died young, and I like his plays. Chamberlain, the um,
Well, that's really interesting. I'd like you to tell me something about Christopher Marlowe because Marlowe is very important in Canterbury. we have a big new theatre. For years, we kept the original Marlow Theatre from Marlow's time, but unfortunately, it just wasn't adequate for modern theatre, and so now we have a new Marlow Theatre.
I know he was killed young, and if he they say if he wasn't killed and carried on in his career, he would be much better than Shakespeare.
Yura, this is going to be a speaking practice session. At the moment, I'm talking about English literature, but if you come into class, then I will give you a topic and ask you to speak for a minute, and then we will look at the grammar of your presentation and try to make some corrections for you. Yes, this is really very interesting. Have you heard, or do you believe that Christopher Marlowe's death was suspicious in any way?
Yes, that's what they taught us in college. They said he was stabbed by the ruling family of the yes, because he was so against his blaze was so against the ruling family. Or
Yes, this seems to be the case. I believe this, and I think that he was murdered to keep him quiet because he was speaking out. He was not. He was not inhibited in any way. He used to speak out and say what he really believed.
Yes.
Great. Well, can you actually tell me something about? Could you just give me an overview about one of Christopher Marlowe's books or plays?
Actually, I know he has some remarkable plays, but we only study one, the Jew of Malta. Some people think it's kind of offensive to some Jews, but I think it was just his opinion.
Okay, so well, I know Christopher Marlowe is a little bit outspoken sometimes, and maybe we have to be careful about speaking about Christopher Marlowe because we may end up being stabbed as well. Christopher Marlowe is a little bit outspoken, but that's great to see that you're interested in literature, and I hope that we can share some of that quite a lot more. Now, I was going to read. It's great to see that you're interested in literature, and I hope that we can. Firas, I think you've got your Verbling page open, so you've been muted, I think. So remember, everybody, that when you come into class here, you have to close the Verbling page that brought you here. I think we really ought to think about seeing if the developers can do something about that. Once the Hangout has started, we need to close the original page somehow. I don't know how it's possible, but you can't have both of the pages open at the same time because you get this awful echo.
Have you read Faustus by Christopher Marlowe?
Well, I have read bits of it, and I've seen it sometimes, but I want to read it myself properly because this is quite well known, and everybody likes this and speaks about it, and there's copies of it on sale all the time when I go to Canterbury. I was in Canterbury yesterday, actually, at the Marlow Theatre. I had a great day out. The weather wasn't so good, but I took some pictures on my mobile phone. I should share them because there were some great buskers on the street as well. Do you have buskers on the street in your country sometimes?
We have what?
They're called buskers. The soprano sax player was playing with a guitarist, and they were playing well-known tunes, actually, which I think they were playing very well-known tunes, so that even older people and younger people of all ages knew the music and they were appreciating it. For example, they played a tune which was sung by um, the trumpet player from Louis Armstrong. Do you know Louis Armstrong?
No.
Louis Armstrong is dead now, but he was from America, and he was a great trumpet player, and he was in Disney playing some music and singing some music from the Jungle Book, Rudyard Kipling's Jungle Book, and one of the tunes they played was from that, and it was great, a great day out. But the Marlow Theatre, yes, quite expensive sometimes to go to the Marlow Theatre. It can cost maybe £20 for a seat to go and see a play. But do you have a theatre locally to you?
Not in my town, but in the capital, yes, Cairo, and it's much expensive than that.
Yes. And are you interested in being on stage at all?
No, I don't have the charisma, I don't have the confidence for this, but I like to watch plays.
I love to watch plays too. Strangely, I don't go so often, but whenever I go, I always feel that I've really enjoyed it. And it feels fresh and exciting, and much better than staying in and watching TV. What else do you do in your a normal day?
There is nothing much to do here. We just hang out, go for coffee. That's it.
So when you hang out and go for coffee, do you chat with some of your friends? I mean, do they speak about literature, or what kind of things do they talk about?
No, they don't speak about literature. Actually, in Egypt, the Arabic literature is not as good as the English literature, especially for me. I enjoy the English literature more. But no, we don't talk. We if they gotta talk about literature, they just go to the movies, not literature. There's no place for literature.
I don't really know very much about Arabic literature, except the classic children's stories. Maybe they're not just children's stories, but I remember when I was very young, I had a version of Arabian Nights, which I thought was really magical and very well written. And since that time, I've looked for a really good version, and I've not been quite as happy because there are so many different versions and different prints and reprints. So I'm
Yeah.
looking for that again, because I like to revisit some books which I read when I was very young. And do you know all of the stories from these books?
No, not all.
Some of them are very famous in the West, and for example, the
Other
40 Thieves, Ali Baba and the 40
Alibaba,
Thieves.
yeah.
But there was one, I don't know if you know this one, there was one about a land where you enter through your dreams. And in this imaginary world, anything could happen. Do you know a story like that?
No.
I'm looking for a good version of this. I was looking in Canterbury quite recently because I would really like to find a well-written version. And there are so many copies of the so-called books of the Arabian Nights. And I think is it a book as such? What is it exactly?
Actually, it's hard to translate the Arabic literature to English, and the opposite way, it loses a lot of the meaning because you can find the same meaning of the words in the same in the different language, especially for English or Arabic.
Yeah, translating is generally a problem like that. I think that this is true of all translation. What do you think? Have you ever done any translation work?
Yes.
And how do you generally approach it?
It's, I'm sorry.
How would
Uh,
you approach translation if you have something to translate? and you look at it and you think, well, that's quite difficult. I don't know exactly what words to use. How do you approach? What's the way that you translate?
Uh, actually, the way we learned English in Egypt, they tell us the meaning of the English word into Arabic, but it's not the right way because some of a lot of English words has the same meaning in Arabic, but they are different in English. So I have to look up the word in an English dictionary and understand the word, then translate it in my language.
Hmm. I've seen some translations which are very
You
good.
know what I mean?
Sometimes it's even difficult to appreciate that the original was not in English. So one that I remember is a poem. Let me see if I can find it for you. I was absolutely astounded to see that this poem was translated, and I think that translation can be a very high art for some people who really know their languages very well and who are able to avoid these little problems of words and who are able to express themselves. Yes, Yuri.
Do you mean the translation as exactly translation of words, or when you can translate meanings, translate, try to understand? For example, it's very difficult to translate poems from
Yes, it's very
language to language.
difficult. It is very difficult, but I have seen a poem translated quite well, very well, indeed, very well into English.
For example, I read if you can keep your head when all about you by Rudyard Kipling, and when I read it on a Russian language, I'm Russian, sorry. When I read it on Russian language and when I read it on English language, it is difficult poems. It's really difficult, and uh, when you try to translate something from one language to other language, you can understand that it is very important job. It's not as easy as it look at first time. It's very important job. Don't break message, author's original message. It's very difficult job.
Yes, so I think we all agree that if you try to translate meanings and you focus too much on individual words, then it really doesn't work. You have to take an overview, you have to try to understand a whole passage and then redesign it and recreate it with the same meaning. So Yuri, have you done any translations yourself?
Um, Now I try to translate verbally from Russian, for example.
Ah, yes.
Hello, teacher Line.
Hello, Leon say. Leon.
Hello,
Because
Leon.
Leon the lion, yeah, Leon.
Can I practice some English with you in this class?
Yeah, we're going to do some speaking practice. So what I'm going to do is, well, I can start with you as an example if you like, because I've been speaking to Dia Belal. How do I say your name, Dia?
My name
Uh,
is Aziz.
Let me just ask Dia Belal, how do I pronounce your name?
it's Dia, but Dia is fine.
Dia, okay. So all right then. Well, yes, we're going to, as is, we can start with you. I'm going to give you a topic, and then I'd like you to think about it for a short time, and then present the topic to us. So, are you ready, Aziz?
Yes.
And everybody else, I would like you not to go to sleep or run away because it's not your turn. I would like you to participate. So, Aziz is going to present his topic. I am going to keep my pencil in my hand and write down some things. For example, I should say if Yuri was speaking about translating just now and he made use of the wrong prepositions sometimes. If you put something from one language into another and you're reading something, is it in Russian?
Translate to
to translate something to Russian or into Russian, and it's now in Russian. It's in English, not on English.
Translate to Russian. Yes.
Yes, translate something to Russian, and when it's done, when it's finished, it is now in Russian.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you said on Russian at some point, but you're.
It's my usual mistakes.
Well, that's the kind of thing that I know. First of all, let me tell everybody that I'm going to mention things, or we're going to find things which we all know already. This is just normal. People make grammar mistakes that they actually know. This is a fact of life. And so it's all about practice and drilling and practice. So sometimes we make mistakes. We know we make them, but we don't really know how often we make them, and we can be surprised sometimes to look back and listen. So it's a good idea to listen to the recording, and this speaking practice lesson will go into a web page, but you can find it on Burbling. Look back and play through it again. So as is, you're going to be first. I've got my pen. I'm going to ask you to talk about some kind of construction process which you could do with yourself or one other person. For example, tiling a floor, or building a wall, or doing something manually like that. So can you describe some task which you can do manually and how it would be done? So I'll give you a moment to think about what kind of thing you will speak about. The rest of you, when he's done, when he's finished, we can ask questions, and then I'd like you also to try and listen out to see if you can comment on the grammatical accuracy and on any other aspect.
What do you mean by accuracy?
Accuracy means get it right. So when I say grammatical accuracy, grammar, some people say grammar doesn't really matter. Well, I believe it kind of matters a bit, because sometimes there's a reason for grammar. Grammar is the form which helps us communicate. So yes, there is a sense that it doesn't matter. Sometimes we can say, well, that doesn't really matter, but sometimes it is important. And so I want to try and make some comments today if we are inaccurate with our grammar, especially at times when it could cause confusion. There are times when we don't know, but somebody doesn't really understand us. Suppose we make some grammar mistakes, but we also mix in some pronunciation mistakes, then sometimes we just aren't understood. So grammar has a place, and it may not be the be-all and end-all of English. We know that's not true. Actually, I keep meaning to bring one sentence which is very, very bad, but is correct grammatically. So grammar is just one aspect, but it is relatively important. Now, can you think about something you'd like to speak about, Aziz? So maybe building a wall, or decorating a room, or something like that. Have you ever done anything like that that you could speak about?
I'm thinking now. I'm thinking.
Okay, so you have about a minute to think about it.
Okay.
And everybody else in the room, I'd like you all to think about one topic which you can prepare and think about for your presentation. And if you don't have one, let me know, and I'll try and give you some ideas. So, Miguel, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Good, good. And so think about something, and if you need some help, I'll give you a clue. One fallback choice is to describe your city and compare it to another city in the world. So if you've been to a foreign country, you could describe the differences between your country and another country that you've been to. So you can use that one as a fallback, but I will accept anything that's appropriate, that's not inappropriate. Yuri, do you have any idea about what yours might be?
Yes, why not? I can speak about anything. Music, books, translating, for example. For example, different life in other country.
Okay, well, just be ready when it's your turn. And now I'm just going to pop along and say, Aziz, are you ready or not? Because you can go second if you like.
Yes, I am ready.
Right, so we'll all listen to Aziz then, and I've got pencil in hand. Everybody else, listen up and try to think of some things to ask Aziz at the end. Okay, Aziz, we're all listening.
Pairing lessons. The subject.
Say the subject again, please.
Preparing to tests.
Preparing for a test.
How to review your lessons, I mean.
Okay. And reviewing lessons, preparing for a test. Okay, off you go.
When I have a test, when someone have a test, he must be reviewed his lessons before. Not the night of the test, he must be reviewed the lessons in the past, like 3 weeks after 3 weeks before the tests, something like that. And he must grab some tests from his friends to train with it, and in order to found preparing easy, he must write his lessons perfectly, and he must use a highlighting marker to highlight. He must use highlighting markers to highlight the important words in a lesson, or important dates, like in geography, like in history, and he must do his best. He must do his best to take the points that he wants.
Okay, great. You've spoken for a minute. Let me go through some things. Now, before I do, does anybody have any questions for Aziz? Okay, so...
Sorry. Do you think that if I, for example, refresh my knowledge at night before test, it's very big for me? I'm not sure, because I can write down, when I prepare to test, I write down my notes every time, some very important point for me, and at night before my test, I try to refresh my knowledge. It can help me really.
Yeah, do you know the word for last minute revising?
Yes, yes.
There's some words for this. For example, one word. What word would you use to describe this action of leaving it too late and trying to do everything the night before the test? They sometimes say last minute something. Cramming is one word I know for this. To try to just push it all in at the end, and this isn't so good, is it? But let me go through Aziz now to look at his mistakes. So Aziz, can I ask you first of all the two pronunciation issues that I'd like you to read these words. I'll put them both together actually, because one is an adjective and one is a noun. So can you read these two words in the Verbling chat, Aziz? Can you see the Verbling chat?
Yes, I see them. Important friends.
Yes, important friends, because the first time round you said the important a bit French style, like important or something like that, but you changed it. I don't know if you speak French. But
yes, I know French, some French.
Yes. So, and then you said when someone have, I think you said this, but correct me if I'm wrong. But if you did, what is the problem with that? When someone have?
When someone has.
Has, yes. Someone has. Someone has. So maybe sometimes it's a pronunciation issue. So sometimes I don't quite hear it correctly. But when someone has. Now you also said something about he must review before, and then you finish the sentence. Now, if you're going to finish the sentence, he must review everything before. Then before is usually followed by something, before something. If you want to use before as an adverb, so before it's too late, you could say before it's too late. That's fine, that's good. But you can't say he must review everything before. But you can change before into another word, which makes it work, like an adverb. Can you give me a word which starts off before or like before but finishes dead? He must review everything before.
Last minute?
No, I want another word. Just change the word before.
Afterward.
Well,
before.
That's another meaning, isn't it? Afterwards.
Late.
So what's the so afterwards, but before has another word, another form of the word before. It starts with the same word. So before, and then there's more. We must make sure that we review everything before. What's the rest of the word?
Beforehand, could we?
Yes, beforehand, yeah. Beforehand is not the same as before. But if you say, we must review everything before, you have to finish the sentence. We must review everything before continuing. Before this, before that. So remember, before this, before that, beforehand. Before this, before that, beforehand. Okay? So, is there an E in beforehand? Sometimes when I'm thinking about grammar, I suddenly get confused about the spelling. Let me just check. So, before. So, the next mistake, that's right, beforehand.
Teacher Leon?
Yes, hello?
Excuse me. I want to correct my sentence. He must review before this.
Or he must review everything beforehand, or he must review before this. When you finish with before, I feel I want more. Before something, before this, before that. But beforehand is an expression like an adverb. It's fine. You finish before. Do everything beforehand. So you can use beforehand, or you can have before this or before that. Now, when you give an example of something, examples. So, for example, you make a list of examples. You did it saying like in blah blah blah, like in this. It's better when you list examples to say such as this and that. When you give it a list of examples. If you're referring to one thing, then it's sometimes good to use like. It's like that. It's like in English. It's the same as it is in English. But if you make a list, you could say such as in French or German, not like in French or German. It's there's a distinction sometimes between like, in, or such as. And when you're about to make a list of things, then such as is better than like in.
Teacher Leon, please, if you can speak slowly, because I am Tunisian. I am Tunisian, and I can't hear all words good.
Okay, well, let me just say then that.
Excuse me, teacher.
Chef, yes.
Teacher, yes. Aziz, it's not a problem because you are Tunisian.
I mean,
is of you.
I mean, I wanted to. I can't understand much because I can't hear Good.
You can't hear me
Yes,
very
yes.
well. Well, anyway, okay, let's not argue now. Let me just say, Aziz, that you should check the words beforehand for finishing a sentence, not finish with before. But please try to look up in the dictionary, look up such as, and look up like, and compare. Find the difference. For homework, find the difference between such as and like. Because there is,
Okay.
sometimes these two can both be used, sometimes one is much better. So,
Okay, I will.
yeah, but let me say you did very well. There's one or two little problems, nothing serious, so don't worry. So now, let's move along. Jose Garcia, are you here in the room, really?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I am. Great, good. Hi. And can I ask you, are you ready with a topic?
I haven't opened that.
What can you speak about right now? Can you speak about the difference between your country and another country, or have you chosen another topic?
Yes, my country is full corruption.
Corruption, well, that's a common problem, isn't it, today?
Other European country are more clean.
Well, you know, that's an interesting question. I think every country has a certain problem with it, and actually maybe they cause problems in other countries too, because I know that we don't allow corruption in some ways in our own country, but we can cause corruption in other countries with business practices and techniques. So could you speak about corruption? Tell me everything you understand about corruption and any problems that it might cause.
I'm trying to explain a little. Somebody gives you $1 million. Then you are the government and you pay for a building 100 million when it costs only 1 million. Then after you close school for the people, you close hospital, to finish.
Yeah, I've heard about this problem. Get things on the cheap, very cheaply, and then sell it at a very high price, yes. But can you tell me other ways that corruption can manifest itself? Why do you think it's so important a problem? Why should corruption be identified and singled out? Why should it be labelled as such a big problem? And what is the problem with corruption?
Nobody believes in nobody. The economy is crashed, and the people always have money. They all have money, but the people have a little money. They can't believe with the little money. They haven't hospital, they haven't school for their children, and they have low paid. It's bad. Corruption is bad. We were a great country with opportunity for everybody, and many people from far away come here to work, and here today they go home.
Are there any things that can be done to reduce corruption? What could be done to make corruption disappear or be reduced?
Europa must be Spanish new government demitted, go to the jail, for they had been had been take enveloped with dirty money.
Okay. Can you say this word, hospital?
Hospital.
Yeah, that's right, hospital. Okay. All right, that's good. So, yeah, I heard, there's some expressions about corruption. For example, apples in a basket. Do you have anything in your language about explaining why corruption is a big problem? Like comparing maybe to fruit in a basket or something like this?
Manzana podridas, bad apple.
Yeah, bad apple. Do you have this one? Because we have something like if you have one bad apple in your basket, everything is rotten.
Yes, the big apple is is a bad apple.
One bad apple and the whole basket is bad. And there's another idiom. Do you know one about? It's a different meaning, but do you know anything about eggs in a basket? Do you know anything about eggs and a basket?
Huevos, eggs in Spanish. Eggs is from the cook, no, for the kitchen. Huevos.
Yes, that's right. Yes, eggs. Yeah, but if I say eggs and basket, do you know an expression in English about eggs and basket?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Does anybody know the one I'm thinking about here?
Put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes, yeah. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. What does it mean, dear?
Because if you hit the basket, all of them will broke or crash.
So when would you use this advice?
When actually when you are risking, for example, with all your money in one business.
Yeah. So and what's the opposite then? So if you say don't put your eggs in one basket, but tell me now what I should do instead.
I don't know.
Who can give the advice, which is the constructive criticism, which goes with this? So you say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You could lose everything. It's much better if you
share with more than one basket.
Yes, and if you think about the word risk, what verb goes before risk?
Take risk.
Yes, but we don't want to take any risks. But we want to not put all our eggs in one basket, but do something reduce our risk. But how do we reduce it? By taking some eggs and putting them in this basket, some eggs putting them in that basket. So what's my verb?
Split.
Not split your risk. Not spread. Yeah, spread your risk.
Distribute.
So, Furkan, have you got a topic?
Maybe. If you don't have
if we have to. Tell us about it. If you're not quite ready, then you can just start thinking now. Thinking on your feet.
Okay. Maybe I can talk about the effects of the globalization. Maybe economic effects. With globalization.
Can you say that word? Economic.
Economic.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe in economic effects, a country, domestic companies want to make bigger and bigger their industries or their jobs, so they can open their jobs to another countries, and that's the part of the globalization. But when they're doing that, they can destroy the local markets in that business area, like McDonald's maybe come to a small town in Taiwan, for example. I'm not sure about that, but they can destroy some little market, little restaurants with taking their place, and also it creates some competition. Maybe it's good for consumers, but it will be bad. It will affect negatively to domestic companies in such areas. So maybe we will have good big companies, but less companies than the last maybe 10 years.
Yeah, great. Okay, that's nice. That's interesting. Let me just say one thing about word order. At the very beginning, you made a... I didn't catch the sentence exactly, but let me write down what I had. Something with make bigger. They want to... Do you remember the sentence? They want to make bigger. Yeah, and the whole word order was kind of ran the wrong way. So if we do something to something, for example, make it bigger, then they want to make something bigger.
Make their business bigger.
Yeah, so the bigger goes at the end, that's it. Yeah. But other than that, I thought you did really, really well, and your English is really, I won't say phenomenal, I'll say quite good. Yeah,
phenomenal.
Quite good. I don't think anyone, we can say phenomenal, can we? Or, but quite good, very well done. So, Nino, are you there? Are you ready, Nino?
Yes, sir.
And have you got a topic, or would you like me to give you one?
I have got a topic.
What is it?
Talking about the ongoing economic crisis.
The ongoing economic crisis. Okay, let's go.
I would like to consider the way government are trying to tackle this problem, solve it. Because maybe from what I'm seeing is that many governments, European government as well as maybe American, many of them have chosen to tackle to solve the economic crisis by applying an extra austerity politic that is cutting state expenses, increasing taxes, and many other purposes. But the consequences are the consequences on the whole are very negative, because this politic have been is in a way counterproductive, because we know in a state as Italy, because here I know better the case of Italy. The government have increased taxes, cut state expenses such as university expenses, medical expenses. So in some cases, students have to pay more university taxes. In other case, some medical cares we have to pay for them. But the problem is that they don't consider that increasing taxes reduces consumption. So, in the other hand, when consumption is reduced, the companies are not producing, don't have enough command, so they are producing less than in the past. So, there is enough consumption, good consumption, there is less production by the companies, and so as economics is a roundabout, it's like a circle, so the economics keep going down, things are growing, but people are losing jobs, they cannot consume goods, companies cannot produce more goods because there is no money to buy for them. So it is a bad trend of dropping. The trend is dropping down.
Mm-hmm. Okay, can I just start there then? So that's good. Nice, I like that. That was good. Starting from the top then, I like the way you started with some good natural English expressions like tackling problems. That's a nice phrase and good collocation. And then you came across some vocabulary which I think sometimes you have a problem with forms of words. So to choose, can you give me the past participle, the third form? So you said that somebody has chosen something. How do we say this?
We
Chosen.
said
Chosen. Choose, chose, chosen. Okay. Now, you seem to be also mixing up policy with politic. So, do you know the difference between policy and politic? What is politic? A politic is a strange word, but we don't use that word very much, do we? Politics is the business of being in politics and government politics. But if you decide on one plan, this is written down in a policy document, and so sometimes you can criticize their policy.
Yeah.
How do you say counter this word in the chat? Is it hyphenated? I think it might be. How do you say this?
Counterproductive.
Yeah, it's sounding a little bit French on that productive. How do you say it? So counterproductive. Counterproductive.
Counterproductive.
And when you say in some case, I think I heard you say in some case. We can't say that in singular form. So we always have to say in some cases, in most cases, in some cases. So make sure you get the clear is at the end. In some cases, it works this way. In some cases, it works that way. And also the last one, the word economy. Economic. Economics. I've got echo from somebody, please. So, Nino, can you look at those two words? Can you give me a sentence with economy and a sentence with economics?
Economy. When I was.
You said the economics are going down, or something like this, but it's not the economics going down. The economy is
Economy
dropping.
is a subject. It's a subject. Economy.
Economics is something we study, isn't it? We study economics.
Yeah.
And
now
when
you study economics. It's a subject.
Yeah. Economics is something we study. Come on, people, watch your microphones and verbaling rooms and things, because it's getting a bit echoey here. Okay, well done, Nina. That was nice. That was good work. So economics and economy. So who's next now? That's nice. Raphael, are you ready with one?
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about body language and nonverbal communication in interviews when you are applying for a job, and the importance of nonverbal communication.
Wow. Nonverbal communication. Great. Okay, let's go. It'll have to be the last one, and then we'll go to the next lesson and carry on.
Teacher Leon?
Let's go. Let me just do Raphael right now, and then we'll have to stop this one and carry on with a new lesson, because we have to start on the time slots. So, Raphael, over to you, please.
Okay. There are a lot of the research that shows that at least 93% of communication is nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is made from posture, tone of voice, microfacial gestures. It's very important in everything that you do every day. And the importance of nonverbal communication is you are transmitting more things than you know, and also you can manage your nonverbal communication. If you have a training, if you could be trained for nonverbal communication, you can use it for your profit. That's all. We haven't enough time to talk
Yeah,
about
okay,
this issue.
look, let's just say something about that quickly before we finish. So trained, not trained, trained. And when you said non-verbal, I want you to speak clearly so that I can hear the difference between non-verbal and number. Number, non-verbal, they were a little bit mished together. I couldn't,
Yeah.
the first time I thought you said number, but non-verbal, non-verbal, non-verbal. And yes, micro, not micro, micro. Like me, micro. And okay, let's finish there. And sorry if we'll go and start another one because we have to start the next time slot straight away. So thank you, Raphael.
Thank you, Leo.
See you in the next one. Bye.